Well, what's up, Radiant Youth? If I haven't had the chance to meet you yet, my name is Josh, and I serve as the director over our Brandon location. I'm so excited to continue our series on the armor of God, and I want to open up with telling you a story. One night when I was sleeping, I encountered what we would call spiritual warfare. Now, spiritual warfare can be described as the battle between good and evil in the unseen world, where we trust God, pray, and read the Bible to stand strong against anything that pulls us away from Him. So it was in the middle of the night, and I was sleeping, and I felt something had crawled into my bed, and it was holding me down, and I remember feeling like I couldn't even breathe. I started to pray in my mind, and I was eventually able to shout out the name of Jesus. Immediately, the spiritual attack ended, and I spent the rest of the night praying. Now, I'm not saying this to scare anyone, but I want to ask you a question. How do you respond when you are under attack? Typically, our fight or flight reactions reveal a lot about our preparation. We have to remember that the enemy is going to wage war against us. That's a guarantee. But the reality is we don't usually prepare a strong defense until after we have been continuously beaten. So let's work on this morning. So I'm going to ask you again. How do you respond when under attack? Do you defend yourself well or lose quickly and get beat up? Spiritually, we are called to have a strong defense. Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 14 says, "Finally, be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand, stand firm then with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place." And verse 16 says, "In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one." And so this week is all about our defense. We're looking at two pieces of armor, the breastplate of righteousness and the shield of faith. With the strong defense, we can repel the attacks of Satan. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 30 says, "The righteous will never be uprooted, but the wicked will not remain in the land. The godly or the righteous will never be disturbed." Our best line of defense is a life of righteousness. The breastplate, or the body armor, covers the majority of our body. It's the greatest source of defense in battle. Imagine going into a battle without armor. We leave ourselves open to an attack when we don't live a righteous life. The easiest way to defend yourself against the attack of the enemy is to simply live right. When we live a godly lifestyle of righteousness, there isn't much room for the enemy to strike us. The bottom line is living righteously is our best line of defense. So how do we apply this to our lives? Romans chapter 1, verses 11 through 12 says, "I long to see you so that I may impart to you some spiritual gift to make you strong. That is, that you and I may be mutually encouraged by each other's faith." Our faith isn't important not just for ourselves, but it's also to encourage each other. Our faith plays a role in our community. Living a life of faith is a critical part of our spiritual defense. Not only does our faith help shield us, but the community of faith acts as a great shield. The ancient Roman warriors would actually lock their shields together to make an impenetrable defense against their enemies. This amazing image, if you can imagine it, illustrates the power of our community of faith. When we lock in together in faith, we are defended from the enemy. So the way to respond to this message as we look at these two pieces of defensive armor is to remember these two simple things. Live right before God and lock in with other believers. Today is the time for us to start living right and locking in with other believers. With a strong defense, you can resist the attack of the enemy and win when you get equipped with the armor of God in your life. Well, Radiant Youth, it was great getting to spend time with you this morning, praying that this will be your best Sunday yet.